Welcome to Luxury Institute's podcast. I'm Milton Pedraza, Luxury Institute CEO.
And I'm Katie Sousa, Senior Consultant Client Relationships and Projects. In today's podcast, Chapter 6 of our Extraordinary Customer Experiences series, we propose the question, does AI have a place in extraordinary customer experiences? What is the role of AI in customer journey in luxury retail, in luxury travel, even luxury real estate? How can AI positively impact the experience the professional is providing? Or how can it be the demise? Today, we'll discuss the role of AI in empowering and equipping luxury professionals to create extraordinary customer experiences. Milton, I'd like to start by just referencing an article that you actually shared with me the other day. It's an article in Forbes from March 2023 called Ways Generative AI Could Revolutionize Your Customer Experience. To break it down, there are 12 key things that they say generative AI can be used. 1, provide customer service. 2, present customized recommendations. 3, use more engaging customer surveys. 4, streamline marketing and sales journeys. 5, generate content easily. 6, engage in multiple languages. 7, create customer segment driven experiences. 8, get predictive insights. 9, boost customer retention. 10, create contextual advertising. 11, provide human-like conversations. And 12, analyze customer feedback.
That's a nice long list. I like it.
It is quite a long list, and certainly much longer than several other articles from years prior. I think I found an article even from 2020 that only had 3 general benefits of generative AI. So to have a list of 12, it's certainly come a very long way. In today's podcast, we'll definitely go over how some of these ways to utilize AI impact the extraordinary customer experience. But before we dive into that, Milton, aside from Luxury Institute, you are a private investor in what you've coined the creator empowerment technology. Can you tell us a little bit about how you entered this arena and its connection to AI, luxury, and extraordinary customer experiences overall?
Yes, thank you, Katie. Well, you and I know we attended a conference well over 5 years ago where we heard a gentleman ranting upstairs on the stage about privacy violations. And as we got more into studying privacy and privacy legislation, we understood that the real opportunity was to use the data to customize, to personalize for people. That, yeah, privacy was going to be table stakes, but the real opportunity for brands, once they covered that, was to really personalize, to use data. We did not envision that AI would, accelerate so quickly, but we definitely understood the power of the analytical insight, the insights that are generated to either go direct to the client or to enhance the experience that the professional can deliver. So that's one thing. So a couple of examples. And I think some of this will be generic and some of this will be very unique companies. An individual has the potential to use AI to create their own sort of personal digital assistant or their own personal search engine. So I would control the AI. The AI would be mining my data and know who I am. And therefore, when I asked AI to go search for a navy blue jacket or a pink shirt, I could designate what brands I wanted, or the AI would know that I only want luxury brands. It would take the list that are my favorites, but it also would fill in others that I may not be aware of. And then it would search within those websites through the APIs and come back to me ad-free without any bias and show me what it has derived, or the bias would be my needs, if you will. So I think that's one example. But the other examples are about people controlling 3 things. Their digital identity, so no one can impersonate you or the people with whom you have contacts or communications online. That would be very powerful. It would almost eliminate fraud. Maybe not 100%, but probably in the 90%. That would be fabulous for brands and for individuals, celebrities, everyone. The second is take control of your data, your Google data, your Instagram data, your personal data, medical, financial data. And the AI works on your own personal data store or your own personal cloud, maybe on your device, backed up to the cloud, and it generates all sorts of insights that serve your best interests. And the third piece is where, let's say I'm on Instagram and Instagram doesn't like what I said. If they shut you down, they've cut you off from all your relationships. We would use a method of cryptographic keys to make sure that you're always connected, each party voluntarily, but no one can ever rip you apart from your relationships on a platform. So that, in essence, is what we're working on, and so far so good. We have a lot of startups that we're investing in. But thank you for asking, because AI obviously plays a role. I should probably just say one more thing, that in one of our companies, we thought we were going to hire 20 data scientists. And when we tested the AI, ChatGPT, generative AI, and the data, the answers were coming out faster than we could ask the questions. So that, the ability for AI to really do any kind of analytics on structured or really messy unstructured data is phenomenal. And I think that's why it plays such a great role.
Milton, you propose such an interesting conversation that every time I get on LinkedIn, I think I see it. Every time I get on any sort of blog, I see it. How is AI taking over my role? I mean, you gave just the perfect example. We plan to hire 20 data scientists, and instead we're using ChatGPT. Explain how that is different in luxury.
I think that one thing that we see in luxury is that the need of the high net worth and ultra high net worth client is to make a personal connection. There's some things that can be automated, and we all want that efficiency and that friction free experience. But we also recognize that even with great venues, with great locations, products, experiences, services, a human being can make such a big positive difference that I think we will always have that curator, that expert, that brand ambassador engaged at some point in the connection, in the inspiring the feelings and emotions. We always talk about how Maya Angelou said that, the great Maya Angelou said that you may not recall what people did or what people said, but you'll always remember how they made you feel. And I think that makes you feel part of the experience can only be done by a human being. Obviously, a human being who has emotional intelligence and care and love that they can express. But I don't think that's ever going to go away from luxury and probably from many other areas such as medicine. But that, it's a hypothesis, but I think that's the main thesis that we have.
I think it's a very strong hypothesis. And if you think about the reasoning behind creating an extraordinary customer experience, it's to create a memory, it's to create loyalty and lifelong trust, and to embed a memory in that person's mind, that they think about that memory and they tell it to their children and their grandchildren, and then they become brand loyal. I don't know that I've ever heard a story where someone said, "Oh, I can't wait to tell my children about the conversation I had over ChatGPT, or the conversation I had with the bot, at Amex." I cannot imagine anyone having that as a fundamental memory that was an extraordinary customer experience that made them feel special, feel seen, feel heard, maybe, certainly, if it is
Or maybe
that
they gave you the right answer or
right,
a quick
correct,
answer, but they didn't touch your soul, right, Katie?
correct. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I think that we should cover three areas: luxury retail, luxury travel, and luxury real estate. And maybe even come back to your list, or keep your list handy to
Sure.
insert maybe the kinds of things that can happen. So we tend to look at the customer journey in simple terms as when you're discovering the brand. Maybe you do it online, maybe you do it through a friend, maybe you do it in a store, but it's a discovery process. Or maybe you know the brand name by name, but now you're discovering it in full. And then there's the actual shopping, the engagement experience or browsing. Then there's the in-store experience or the online placement of an order, so the purchase experience. And then the after sales. And if the brand is really, really sharp, it'll build a clienteling process so you can build long-term relationships. So when I think of AI, and this is where I want you to weigh in with me and look at your list, I think that in terms of discovering the brand, AI can make, or the product, AI can make it very easy to search. So you can ask your AI, maybe your personal digital assistant in the near future, and it will find for you the best options based on your needs, not ads based, not on what the brands want, but you as the center of the universe. You're the sun, and the brands are the planets, the products are the planets. And so your personal AI can really deliver for you maybe the top three options, optimized for what your parameters were: the color, the price, the size, the delivery time, and other parameters. I think that's one in the discovery process.
In the discovery process, when I think about going to this list right around create customer segment driven experiences, a lot of times just discovering the brand is finding different ways to interact with the brand, whether it's on social, what have you. That's one thing. But in terms of actually experiencing the brand and how that is delivered is where I don't see AI playing a role. Going back to the list, presenting customized recommendations of how that experience takes place, yes. Creating and providing the insights that a professional can utilize to create a better experience for that individual. Again, whether they're discovering the brand directly on the website, or they happen to walk by the store, or they happen to be on social, it gives the professional involved a way to approach as opposed to the approach itself.
You know, what you're saying is we sometimes call it the what and the how, or the functional versus the emotional. So I do believe that AI can dramatically enhance the functional part. It can do things quicker, better, faster, much more cost effectively. But most of it can be used to enhance the professional so that they can then focus on the expertise that they overlay on that, the empathy, asking questions, listening, providing responses that are appropriate, um, earning trust, exhibiting, delivering behaviors and words that engender trust, that are sincere and engender trust, and then to pour that little generosity and kindness that we know works tremendously well. So I agree with you. I think, and I love AI because I think what it can do is it can take away or enhance the tasks that humans have been doing that AI, robots, machines can do far better. We really haven't had that opportunity in our society to do that in a real way. And now it frees me up to be that better human being that can engage with that client in a to deliver those extraordinary customer experiences.
Also, thinking about what you mentioned before, Milton, around consent. AI eventually, as things progress, there will have to be much more consent driven AI usage as opposed to what I now know about you and what I think I'm going to utilize from the AI. A perfect example: if I have an appointment with a client, they're coming into my retail location. I've already set their fitting room based on the insights that I have, based off of the information that I have, the recommendations that have been provided to me. That's great. What it has nothing to do with is the real time, in the moment engagement. Maybe I'm having a bad day. Maybe Starbucks messed up my coffee order. Maybe my child decided to have the worst morning of all time. And everything that the data told you about me is completely unaligned with where I am today. So
Right.
that is where I think, years ago, when we were conducting training, we worked with a client that said, we want to use all of the earpieces to be able to speak to the professional so that everything that we said they would say to the client. What
Yeah.
that, what that immediately told me in that moment is, where's the creativity? Where's the creativity and the human nature to say, I'm really empathizing with this person. I now understand what's happening in real time, and I can be agile and adaptable and flexible to meet their needs right now in this moment, regardless of what the data says. People are
Yes.
totally habitual. However, there is real life that still has to happen that the data is not able to capture currently.
Absolutely, Katie. You're absolutely right because in the moment, people shift, people change. And the AI is only working on data that is historical,
Correct.
right? And so it can only derive certain conclusions that have nothing to do, as you just said, with the real time, real world feelings and desires or changes of mind that the client has. And that's why the associate, him or herself, has to be so agile and be an expert, but also have all the emotional elements that allow you, that empower you as an associate to then shift in the moment, to pivot, as we like to say, and then deliver an extraordinary custom experience anyway, irrespective of the circumstances.
So, if we conclude that statement, what used to be that I now have to learn about you, and the majority of my role is learning about you, keeping track of that data, really memorizing it, and then applying it. Now, the AI is going to provide you and give you recommendations because of everything that it already knows. So, that frees up a lot of the, let's say, hard skills, labeled hard skills, and the soft skills that we believe are much more of the hard skills become far more prominent. And that is why the emotional intelligence, the relationship building skills, the ability to be creative, to be human, to be empathic, to be generous, be highly creative is so much more important because it's almost, again, what you said before, what and how, but it's how I interpret that data and how I interpret what you're telling me, the body language, the eye contact, everything above, and then what I do with that.
No kidding. You just made me think so profoundly in your statements about very often, and as we always say, many brands think they're the sun and the customers are the planets. No, the customer is the sun, and the brand options that they have are the planets. But very often, when brands use AI, they think, well, I have the data. Now I have the most powerful AI ever invented. I'm going to control the customer experience.
Hmm.
I am in control. And nothing could be further from the truth, at least when it comes to high net worth and ultra high net worth clients. And so that's why, to your point, that versatility, that agility, that ability to really understand the situation from a human perspective, because you can't feed the AI the people's emotions, not yet anyway. You can't plant a little microchip in the client's brain and interpret it as data. So you, as an expert, individual, professional, have to be ready to respond, not react, and deliver that EC anyway. And that's really a major point that you really brought out when you were talking here.
What's clear in retail, again, if we go back to the list that Forbes put out, the top 12, there are a multitude of things and ways that generative AI can be used in luxury retail. But what we are referring to is the extraordinary customer experience. It's very different than a typical retail, I walk into the store experience and what is happening behind the scenes. What I, as the professional, am being fed, the customer feedback, right? Being able to engage in multiple languages. That's great on a, let's say, scaled environment. In a one-to-one environment, the usage is much different than what you're looking at here. And that's what I definitely believe will differentiate the luxury brands from the true luxury brands. There's the brands
Yes.
who believe they are luxury and who will utilize probably 11 out of 12 of these elements. The ultra luxury brands will utilize them, but they will never be the forefront.
Yes, and all the pretenders are going to do two things. They're going to try to use this as an efficiency. Let's cut costs, let's cut people. While the true luxury brands are going to say, these are phenomenal insights. But without the client experience being a human client experience, we're not going to be extraordinary. And I think the other thing to realize about AI is data and algorithms or statistics used to calculate a probability and
Correct.
not a certainty. AI hasn't achieved the level of certainty, and humans haven't. So I doubt anyone ever will because there's always a curveball thrown in there by life, by serendipity. And so use the probability as a way to guide you, but use the humanity as a way to deliver the extraordinary experience.
let's move into AI and luxury travel. I think there are so many, right? In retail, you walk in, you walk out, you buy the product, you don't like it, you return it. You might do consignment as a high net worth, ultra high net worth, etc. You might have a personal shopper, might be a VIP. Luxury travel, there are so many different dynamics. There are so many people involved, so many organizations involved,
You mean
so
so many ways
many
to
stakeholders.
fail, Katie?
So many ways to fail. That's exactly right. Or looking at it, there are so many ways to thrive
Right.
if done well.
Yes.
What's interesting to me about the travel industry and hospitality, yachting, you name it, is, and we've heard this from all of the research, that my vacation as a high net worth, ultra high net worth individual starts the moment I walk out of the door. The
Mhm.
moment that I get into the Uber or the limo or the driver that I've hired or the hotel has hired, that's when my vacation starts. Not when I arrive at the resort, not when I get onto my private jet, not when I get to Delta, Terminal B. It is the moment I step out of the door. And so, yes, there are so many different ways to fail, but I do believe that AI will have a very profound impact in a positive way on the travel industry, predominantly for the high net worth, ultra high net worth consumer, so that their experience feels far more seamless. Yet, what I
Yes.
find on the flip side of retail is that the dynamics for the professional will be far more intense. There will be a lot more going on that they need to really, let's say, herd like cats.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. So here's two ways that I have heard about, and this is from our friend Ricardo Arejo, who runs the Audio Dante, and who does vacations for billionaires. They cost $3 million, these trips. So one of the ways is that right now we plan trips vertically. We go and figure out where we want to go, and we go figure out the transportation. So then you call Delta and you book there, and then you call Marriott, Ritz Carlton, and you book there, and then you find out maybe from that concierge if there's any tours. Then maybe you look up restaurants, or maybe you know some, but it's a very fragmented, full of friction kind of experience because it's kind of siloed and vertical. Now, if you have a travel advisor, it's better, but it's still siloed for them. Can AI make it a horizontal experience? In other words, put the pieces of the puzzle together optimally for me. As you said, from the minute I leave the door to get to the airport, my limo, my car is waiting, drops me off. Maybe I get special treatment to go directly to my plane, et cetera, all the way through when I return home. An entirely seamless experience planned by AI, optimizing, having a good data set though, because it can't just go and mine the web and scrape the web and come up with junk. It has to be a pristine database of only the best providers, a catalog of the best providers on the planet, and a coordination that is impeccable. You probably need a human being to guide that as well, but it can be done in a much more efficient and effective way. Then the other piece that I imagine is that location data, real time data, is very important when you're traveling. And so, will you give consent because you trust a brand like Ritz Carlton or St. Regis or Four Seasons or Oman or a Conrad or a Waldorf Astoria Collection, Six Senses, all of those great brands that are at the top? Will you provide them with your location data, maybe the location data of your family, while you're on the trip, so they can provide elements such as security? If someone has a medical condition, immediate medical help, or at least in the background, they're there to serve you. And then for a more fun experience, that they can also, as they're tracking, let's say you landed in Mayfair, you're at the hotel, and they say, Ms. Sousa, for you and your family, since you're walking right now on, whatever street, we have provided for you an opportunity at these two different clubs, whichever one you want to choose for dinner. These private clubs are available for you. Or if you get thirsty, this is the best place to get a great lemonade or a tea. So they're curating the experience for you almost the way Google would, except it's customized and it doesn't invade your privacy. And so that you are protected, enhanced, And the experiences are the richest available that are totally coordinated by the hotel. And then after I leave the hotel or after I go home, then the data is deleted, or it can be kept if I consent it to it for my next time so they know me better. But it's all under my control, and you're getting real personalization from the hotel. And you're getting real personalization, as I said, in the experience of the planning and in the execution. It won't be perfect, but it'll be far more fabulous than I think we've ever experienced before, even if you're very well.
I agree. I think in luxury travel particularly, AI will have a much stronger positive impact on the ability of not only the brand, but just let's just think holistically as people at those various different brands, people at those various different touch points to provide extraordinary customer experiences. On the flip side of that, I think about a story that a colleague of ours who serves the high net worth, ultra high net worth the other day, and he mentioned when he was working for a private jet organization that they had booked a car, and it had nothing to do with his brand, but the driver of the car ruined the entire experience and they stopped being a member.
Mm.
So it shows, so that I give that example solely to say that you can have all of the AI in the world. I can lay out everything. I can anticipate everything. There will still be life problems and human mistakes that happen along the way, or personalities just don't align. The emotional intelligence just isn't clicking today, right? So there are things that will happen along the way where AI cannot overcome the challenges and the dynamics of human beings. Yet in travel, particularly, I think that AI will have a much more positive impact, not only on the consumer and their ability to have a very streamlined, trustworthy experience from beginning to end, but on the back end of that, the luxury travel advisor who is planning from beginning to end has the ability to share those insights, those recommendations across the providers that they are utilizing.
Right.
So it's not, I have to give this to this and this to this, and it has to be very coordinated. It can still be more coordinated on their end, and then they deploy it. So that way, in person, the individual is now executing that recommendation as opposed to having to identify the recommendation on their own.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be very helpful. But I think you're still going to have to confirm, as you said. So again, I got a recommendation that's based on a probability, not
Right.
certainty. I need to find a very gracious and graceful way to confirm it and then deliver it. You can surprise people with things, but I have to say that very often I think with the fact that wealthy people don't trust brands to curate and to manage their data, to protect their data, they're not
Mhm.
getting all the richness of data, especially the real-time data that they could. And I think it's so easy for brands to find ways to reassure their clients that they're taking care of their data. But for some reason, they bought into this sort of surveillance capitalism and what ad tech and martech have sold them. And they haven't figured out, hey, you know what? I can create my own terms of service. I don't have to use the cookie cutter BS that's out there. And I can get the data that I need to serve my clients, to retain them, to have them refer me. I think that's a huge opportunity.
Clearly, Milton, high net worth, ultra high net worth, the lack of sharing of data is because there is far more to lose, and the lack of trust is there. I think though a lot of times it's because we don't know what's in the data. We don't understand what you have.
Right.
I'm okay maybe with you having it, but I would like to clarify what's in it,
And
right? And
often it's dated.
often it's highly dated.
it's
Exactly.
obsolete. Yeah. No, I think that that is what we call it, data and insights relationship building, and that's part of the overall relationship. We've said before that you cannot have a set of values and rules for offline where you're treating people like human beings, and then have a separate set of values online where you're treating people as if they were subservient. That is a conflict that will be resolved very soon. It cannot, it will not stand, and we will never have personalization if we don't fix that. So
Mhm.
now let's talk about real estate, because I know you wanted to insert that because it's such a huge purchase for a high net worth individual.
There's so many dynamics. Even a conversation that we had this morning, thinking about all the players involved. Yes, you hire the agent, you have your attorney involved, you have your wealth manager involved. But I'm also looking at the MLS myself, and my sister's looking at it. There's so many people involved. Someone might be looking at Zillow, and something's on Zillow, but it's not over here on realtor.com, right? You name it. But you also, in luxury real estate in particular, want a single point person to be able to give you very clear direction, and it's someone that you trust, someone that has been recommended countless times to you, who can absolutely serve your best interest, either in selling your home for the highest possible amount or helping you to purchase the home for the lowest possible amount. But
Yes.
the level of trust is so important. And there's also such a different level of data involved in luxury real estate than there is, I believe, in any other category.
Well, think about the size of a home and all the dynamics, all the features, benefits, attributes that a 20,000 square foot home that's $48 million will have. Never mind the house, the property, the
Right.
surroundings. So you're absolutely right. I think you and I were talking this morning to a real estate advisor who specializes in celebrities and athletes, and she was talking to us about how finding a good fit between the client and the agent or the advisor is so critical. Just almost just personality and humanistic. Never mind the expertise. And so I think that AI can definitely give you better ways to search if you're doing it on your own, because we all do, even though we have, advisors helping us, we're always going in there just like with travel and looking, and our friends, as you say, and family help us. So I think that AI could, if we give AI the attributes that we need, AI could help us identify far fewer homes that really fit, because the problem
Yes.
is that the AI will spit out, 100 homes, and a lot of them are just based on ads. People who have paid for it. I would love the AI to serve me and identify the right homes and the right advisor.
Hmm.
And then, never mind that. I mean, then it's the properties that we need to go and look at. Um, and we've made a lot of headway with virtual tours, but not a lot of headway, because we still want to go and look and see it
Hmm.
directly, because we have to feel it, right?
Hmm.
Very often a room looks huge, and then you go there and you go, "This is the great room." It's not very great. Um, but I think that there is a tremendous, again, as with travel, which is a complex, real estate is a complex experience. I think you're right that it can bring together the key information for all the players involved, all of the people you were talking about in the beginning, can have
Hmm.
sort of the same truth about what's going on, and can help the client to optimize their results by using AI. Whether it's the AI serving, legal documents, the AI helping the wealth advisor figure out what money, where it's coming from, the agent, all of those. I think your point about all the different players involved and how AI can enhance them all and maybe even bring them all together is spot on.
Something that I think about particularly with luxury real estate and how the high net worth and ultra high net worth want to live. They want to be with like-minded individuals. When you're searching a neighborhood, you're looking at the property, you're looking at the home itself, clearly the aesthetics, the character, you name it. But we never think about who's our next door neighbor. We
True.
never know who lives next door. Oh, and who you might if they're a celebrity.
And oh my God, can that really be a
Correct.
challenge, right?
So, what I actually see in AI and around trust and consent around data, particularly in luxury real estate, is the ability to identify anonymously what are the attributes of my neighbors.
Oh
Not
God.
again, not their name. I don't need to know their social security number. I don't need to know any of that very intimate data. But I almost think that there is a way to do, from an AI perspective, to do a comparative. Here is the home you're interested in compared to the other homes of interest. These are the general values of this neighborhood and the people who live in this neighborhood. Here are the general values, things that they enjoy doing. Oh, by the way, this neighbor over here loves to have parties on Saturday night. I hope you're ready for the Great Gatsby, right? Like just being able to understand the dynamics
I think
of,
people would have to volunteer that data,
but that's what I mean. I think
but I
as
think that would help them attract neighbors who are more like
correct,
them, who would they will also enjoy. So it's a mutually
correct,
beneficial. I do
correct.
love that idea because
Yes.
it's mutually beneficial.
Right. It's a very similar model to looking at, from a general perspective, looking at OpenTable, looking at TripAdvisor, having the ability to see the reviews of what other people are saying. Now, you don't always know who those people are who are giving reviews, but you're taking the probability that, okay, they might have a similar taste to me if this is how their review was mentioned.
I
But I
thought you were
think
going to say dating sites for a second there.
well, that too. But I do believe particularly as we continue to move into a far more consent based environment around data, and you are trusting of your agent, you are trusting of the, even if it's not an individual agent, the organization, whether it's Coldwell Banker, Global Luxury, or Christie's, or what have you. I now trust this organization to make sure not only am I getting the best house at the best value, best price, but to put me in a place where I am going to feel truly at home, not just because of my home, but because I genuinely understand my surroundings and the people with whom I'm surrounding myself with because they are like minded.
I love that. I think that will arrive. And I think that will be such a huge personalization tool for real estate and for travel and for retail. So I think the AI, it has phenomenal potential. The only, obviously, that I believe in data respect. And so how do we respect the data that algorithm was trained on? And how do we respect the data of not only the client, but also the advisor and the company? So there's respect to go all around, but I think it's eminently doable. And I look forward to that time.
And to conclude, let's go back to the initial question is, does AI have a role in creating extraordinary customer experiences? The answer is yes, it does. However, there is what it is used for and how it is used. Ultimately, going back to a very initial statement, the AI can empower and equip you to provide the best possible experience. But the human being is the only one who can truly make it extraordinary because of how you will make that other individual on the other side of you feel.
Absolutely. It is about feelings. We put together our 7 rules of emotionally intelligent luxury. And in each one of those rules, we identified the feeling that when that rule is executed by a brand correctly, that is inspired in each human being, in the associate and in the client. And then it's like a gestalt, a synergy between all those feelings, like trust, like desire. All of those feelings really are what make a brand unique and special.
So, as we come to a close, we'd like to thank you for joining us today. We invite you to share your extraordinary customer experiences with us, whether you've delivered, received, or witnessed. We would love to hear your story. As Milton finally noted, we are planning to share privately a release of our 7 rules of emotionally intelligent luxury. If you'd like to learn more, we are providing speaking engagements and various different trainings. So please contact us if you'd like to learn more. In the meantime, Milton, I'll give you the last word.
As always, we wish you good luck, but that's only part of the equation. More importantly, we wish you phenomenal skill in building and delivering extraordinary customer experiences. Thank you.